It's 4 p.m. in Harare, Zimbabwe's capital. Welcome to ZTN News Blitz. Our top stories. Supreme Court reserves judgment in MDC leadership dispute. Human-wildlife conflict claims 32 lives in Zimbabwe. Heartbroken Chinese fiancé marries partner's corpse. 15 European-based stars in Warriors squad. That's coming up in sports in a moment. The Supreme Court has a reserved judgment in an appeal by the MDC led by Advocate Nelson Chamisa, in which the High Court had ruled that Thokozani Kupe was the bona fide leader of the party. Recently, a party member approached the High Court, arguing that Kupe was the only elected vice president when founding leader Morgan Tsvangirai died. But Nelson Chamisa contends he was appointed by acting president during a meeting convened then by Secretary General Douglas Monzora before being properly elected by Congress. Zimbabwe is set to benefit from the United Kingdom's divorce from the European Union. A British ambassador to Zimbabwe, Melanie Robinson, spoke to ZTN after meeting National Assembly Speaker Advocate Jacob Mudenda in Harare this morning.
We have excellent trade relationships at the moment. Over $400 million of trade in goods from Zimbabwe go to the UK. And just recently, I was in the Eastern Highlands looking at one of the tea estates from which 95% of that tea goes to London. And we were talking about the importance of ratifying our agreement to continue that trade so that the UK and Zimbabwe can continue the same level of trade after the UK has left the European Union.
Human-wildlife conflict in Zimbabwe has claimed 32 lives since the beginning of the year. 40% of these deaths are due to attacks by elephants. In 2018 alone, 20 people were killed, and Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife Management Authority spokesperson Tinashe Farao spoke to ZTN.
There's a 100% increase in those cases. Last year we received about 100. Now we are talking of 300, between 120 and 150 last year. Now we are talking of 300, which is a 100% increase. Last year we lost about 20 lives. This year we are now talking of 32.
Voting is underway in Botswana, with over 924,000 registered voters expected to cast their ballots. The Independent Electoral Commission has promised smooth voting in an election that poses the biggest challenge to the ruling Botswana Democratic Party's rule. ZTN spoke to incumbent president and BDP candidate Makwetsi Masisi in the capital, Gaborone.
I want to ask them to do the typical Botswana thing. Present a better image. We present a more believable and a storyline, a plan that the ordinary majority of Botswana can associate with. Wake up, wash, be merry, obey the law, collect your documents, line up peacefully.
A group of women in Zimbabwe has expressed concern at high maternal deaths in public hospitals. The Women's Coalition of Zimbabwe earlier staged a demonstration at Mbuyane Maternity Hospital in Harare. The protest comes at a time when operations in most public hospitals has been affected by the continued strike by junior doctors. Zimbabwe remains one of the countries with high maternal deaths in Africa, of around 614 per every 100,000 live births.
It is this call to the various stakeholders to say let's have the health delivery system and the general health system prioritized in the work that they do, because people have the right to health. We also have a right to life. So there is breach of all those rights that are enshrined in our constitution. So we expect those to be addressed as a matter of urgency.
In news just received, striking Zimbabwean doctors have declared incapacitation to attend disciplinary hearing being done by their employer, the Health Services Board. The doctors have been on strike for over 50 days. They have rejected numerous offers, with the latest being a 100% on-call allowance offer by the government on Friday last week. A man in China has married his partner's corpse during her funeral to show his love for her. after she lost her battle with breast cancer. The heartbroken groom, 35-year-old Sue Shinan, hoped that the wedding ceremony could help in realizing his late fiance's dream of being a bride. Sue's deceased partner of 12 years, a young Liu, was dressed in a white bridal gown and surrounded by 169 bouquets of pink roses when Sue read his wedding vows to her. Let's take a look at what's happening in sports. Zimbabwe national team coach Joey Antipas has included 15 European-based players in his squad. The Warriors are pushing for a place at the World Cup finals, and team manager Wellington Pandare says they are hoping authorities will provide passports in time.
You remember Makuli Boni's issue, as well as Adam Chickson's issue. They haven't had Zimbabwean passports. So we hope through the relevant ministry that this time around we'll get some help and get their passports in time for the Botswana and Zambia games.
The Zimbabwe netball team returns home tonight after finishing fourth at the just-ended Africa Netball Cup. Before the tournament, the Gems had made it clear that they intended to finish first, but chaotic travelling complicated their chances. They missed the opening game against Uganda after arriving late for the competition. They are expected back home at 8 p.m. Paralympian Marika Vervoet has voluntarily terminated her life at the age of 40. She was battling a degenerative muscle disease. The Belgian wheelchair sprinter won gold at the London 2012 Games, was experiencing constant pain, seizures and paralysis in her legs. She then signed for euthanasia papers and was initially prepared to end her life in 2008, but the process was done on Tuesday. That's all we had for you on ZTN News Blitz. We are back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for watching.